Okay, Ms. Williams, we are ready to go.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our November Go Team meeting for the 2025-2026 school year. The time is now 4:37. We're going to get started with our meeting. And the first thing on our agenda is roll call. So give me 1 second while I get up the names. That's what I was just getting up. While I get up the names. Jovan Miles, Christine Owens, Latoya Wiggins, Erica Luckett, Allison Tolman, Denise Williams is
Present.
Denise Williams is present. Jeanette Lovelace.
I'm here, present.
Okay, we do not have a parent available here, so we will not be voting on anything at this meeting. And the minutes from our last meeting have to be redone, so we won't be addressing that at this meeting tonight either. So I'm gonna show the agenda. Give me a second. Zoom. It's new tabs. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna share the agenda for tonight's meeting. Can everybody see it? Can we make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight?
I make a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
Can we have a second?
I second.
And then, like I said, we're redoing the previous meeting minutes. So we'll adjust that. Nominations for secretary. I guess we're looking for a secretary for our meeting. I want to make sure. Let me stop sharing. All right. So does anybody want to volunteer as secretary for our Go Team meeting for this school year?
Ms.
Miss Nunn?
Williams,
Yeah.
since we don't have the
Quorum, we
quorum
can't vote on
present,
anything.
yeah, we're gonna have to hold that off till our next meeting because we
Mm-hmm.
don't have all of the Go Team members here.
Mm-hmm.
Members you do have already hold an office.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna we'll put that if you could make a motion for that to be moved to the
Okay.
Go Team meeting, then
Mm-hmm.
we would be able to vote at that time.
All right. Can we make a motion to nominate someone for a secretary at our next Go Team meeting?
I make a motion to nominate someone as secretary for our next meeting.
All right, can we get a second?
I second.
All right, so we're gonna move to our discussion items for today. I'm gonna turn it over to Miss Nunn. Miss Nunn, do you want me to share the PowerPoint or would you like to? Would it be
Um,
easier for you?
Yeah, you can go ahead and share it, and then I'll just tell you when to go through the slides. That's fine.
Okay.
At some point, I'm going to have you stop sharing so I can share a second document, but I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. Okay, I'm so not used to sharing in this. Where does it say present?
At the bottom, you see that little it's like a little
Right here?
desk or something right there by the when you increase the size. Bottom
Mm-hmm.
right. Yep, right there. Click
Okay.
that. Uh-huh. Click that.
Here we go.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. So here is our agenda for today, and we've already moved to the minutes. So next thing we're going to start discussing in our discussion items. Go ahead, move ahead to that slide. Next slide. Our 2025-2030 strategic plan. So we've been talking about the strategic plan for a little while now, along with APS. All schools have been charged with coming up with a 5-year strategic development plan that goes along with APS's plan. So what you're going to see, some things directly pertain to Slater, some things do not. mainly because we are a partner school. So some of the things at this current time really don't pertain to us. However, we are planning for in the future, if everything goes through, this is the plan of action that we have over the next 5 years. PBSA has already created a 2030 strategic plan that we're going to be discussing a little bit here. So that you're going to see some things that are more APS influenced, and then some things that are more influenced by PBSA. I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with that. Next slide. Stay right there. Okay, so here is Atlanta Public Schools, just saying who they are and why they exist is to educate and empower Atlanta students to shape the future. We at PBSA believe in this same thing, so we're making sure that our plan is aligned with the direction that Atlanta Public Schools is going. Next slide, please. In this slide, you'll see some of the things through their strategic planning process in Atlanta Public Schools that they have come up with was the strength, responsibility, and the systems that are going to be put in place to make sure that they are meeting the goals of this 5-year plan. So what you see here are some of the goals and then some of the action steps that APS has discussed as they are moving forward with their plan. Next slide. So here we're talking about goals and KPI indicators. Every school in the district has been given these goals, and they have key performance indicators that are unique to their individual school. And we're going to be looking at Slater's KPI indicators in a moment. Right now, what you see, the 1, 2, and 3, those are the 3 goals that APS has put out. So goal number 1, by 2030, we will increase the percentage of 3rd grade students scoring proficient or above in ELA based on the Georgia Milestones Assessment. They want to increase that by 20 percentage points. Goal number 2, by 2030, they will increase the percentage of 8th grade students scoring proficient or above in math based on the Georgia Milestones Assessment by 20 percentage points. And goal number 3, by 2030, we will increase the percentage of students meeting at least one CCRPI college and career readiness indicator by 20 percentage points. Those are the 3 goals that APS as a district has come to put together that they're going to focus on. On the right-hand side of the screen, you see in red are the actual numbers of certain things that would be indicators of how to meet these goals. And then on the right side of that are the targets. So the first one is absenteeism, the percentage of students who are not chronically absent. Right now, as a district, and this includes both charter and partner schools, when you're looking at these numbers, as a district, it's at 68.8, so 69%. The target for 2030 is 80%. The sense of belonging, this is based off of students taking surveys, families taking surveys. 60% is the actual numbers based off of data that was already collected. The goal is 75%. Discipline, percentage of students without suspensions, out of school suspensions, and to be specific, 90% is the actual right now. They want to target that at 95%. Also in discipline, students with disabilities. So students who have been identified as part of the SWD program, students with disabilities without suspensions, 83.5% is the actual, 95% is the goal. Discipline for students, for Black students, percentage of Black students without out-of-school suspensions. Right now, it is at 86.4. The goal is 95%. Student-staff relationships, percentage of students feeling comfortable going to most or all of the adults in the school building for any type of help. Right now, this is 56%. The goal is 75%. Student success plans, the percentage of students with individual success plans. Right now, it's at 0% across the district. The goal is to get to 90% by 2030. And finally, the school climate surveys that students and families take, the percentage of schools with a 4 or 5-star climate rating. Right now, it's at 19%. The goal for 2030 is at 50%. So again, these are some of the KPI indicators that the district is looking at. This is based off the entire district. We're going to look at Slater KPI numbers specifically in a moment. Next slide. I'm sorry, next slide, one more time. Okay, so as we're looking at our KPI indicators, as we're looking at our strategic plan, you see right here, you see here this pyramid of performance where we're looking at the mission and vision. As part of our strategic goals, we have focus areas, objectives, and key performance indicators that we just talked about. And we talked about the strategies and actions that will be taking place to actually make sure that these goals are put into place. Next slide, please. Today, we're going to be looking at our mission and vision, the strategic goals that we have in place, and those things that we're not necessarily going to look at the specific action steps, but we'll be looking at certain things that as PBSA have already been put in place based off of some of the actual work that's been done by our third floor team. Next slide, please. So right here, the purpose of this is to cascade the district's strategic plan to the school level. So it won't be just at that higher level, district level, and just making sure that the focus is a part of that continuous improvement plan is alignment, making sure that the district efforts and the school efforts are in line so there's not a lot of confusion. The timeline that the district, and when I say the district, I'm talking about Atlanta Public Schools, of this strategic goal and the objectives, and it's going to be updated over time. So this is, again, it's not something that is automatically set in stone once we start beginning that process. However, over time, as new indicators come into play, as we're looking at various strategies, as the district is getting more input from teachers, families, students, those indicators could change and those action steps could change as well. Next slide, please. So here you have the three resources that we're going to review. We're going to talk about the strategic plan a little bit. And for those of you who've been with PBSA, you know that our strategic plan the planning process began last year. And Mr. Davis came in and he spoke to all of the staff about the strategic plan for PBSA. We're also going to take a look at our continuous improvement plan that was just sent to the district not too long ago. And we'll talk about what those indicators are and what they mean for us. And then we'll look at our KPIs specifically as it relates to Slater Elementary. Next slide, please. So again, I just went about that strategic planning process. On that next slide, you'll see exactly where we are. Next slide. So we're at business meeting number 2. We're going to look at those KPIs and look at that mission and vision, and then begin talking about how we can extend this to our 2030 goals. This is the first step. This is not going to be the last step because there are other individuals that will come into play, like our district, as well as planning teams here at the school to help us make sure that we are meeting those goals. Next slide, please. And the next slide. So here we have our KPI data for Slater. So I don't know, Ms. Williams, if you can increase that. I don't know if people can see it, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to try to make sure that I am discussing everything in case everybody can't see. So district goal, we are strengthening our instructional core. So when we're looking at the categories of literacy, kindergarten, ELA, the subgroups based on Black students, students with disabilities, in the red, you can see what the goals are. And then in the black, in that first column, you see what the current key performance indicators are. So for literacy, percentage of third grade students scoring proficient or above in ELA. The goal for 2030 is 42%. Right now, we're at 21%. Another key indicator in the area of literacy and strengthening our instructional core for kindergarten ELA, percentage of students scoring, demonstrating or exceeding on ELA domains in the spring GKIDS. So for those of you who don't know, GKIDS is the assessment that's taken all year long for all kindergarten students. The goal is 72.5, so 73%. Right now, we are currently at 52%. So what they're saying in these, and we'll have a copy of this on the website, the goals, we want to make sure that those key performance indicators in the first column, over the next 5 years, we are increasing it to meet the goals of 2030 based off of where we are as an indicator. Another indicator for our subgroups for Black students, percentage of Black students with a typical or high end of grade milestone student growth percentile. The goal is 74%. We are right now at 63.2. So a lot of these indicators we're close to, we have not actually met yet, but we are trying to make sure that we are meeting those goals in the next 5 years. Another district goal is talking about we are caring for every child. So one of those indicators is our attendance rate. So one of the metrics is the percentage of students who are not chronically absent, and that is 10 days or more within a school year. The goal is 66.7, we're at 51.7. So we're not far, but we still have work to do. Discipline for all students, percentage of students without suspensions. The goal is 98.5. We are at 96.2. One of the things that we are doing here at the school is we have our reset room where we try to do the restorative practices so that instead of having students suspended, we are trying to change the behavior so that students don't continue to with those same actions and then end up being suspended over and over again for the same infraction. We also, one of the, before we move on, another indicator that we have is enrollment. So schools meeting K-12 enrollment minimums. Right now, our goal for 2030 is 450. Our current KPI is 440. So we're continuing to get students every day. We're continuing to try to meet these 2030 goals within these next 5 years. So as we look at these KPI indicators, a lot of these indicators we're not far away from, but there is still work to do. So I want to give the team a chance to look at the KPI indicators, and if there's any feedback from the team, I want to get that information now.
Well, I can go first. I'm noticing that within our school, with the discipline, how that might correlate to family engagement. Maybe there's something we can do to close the gap that can in turn like help us, because there's only a small push for us to get to our 2030 goal. And what can we do now to be able to get us there a lot quicker and probably surpass our 2030 goal? And another thing that I was noticing was how I don't want to say the lack of, but how for the family engagement, the parent portal, which I guess would be Infinite Campus, how that might play a role of the lack of parents being informed of their students' grade or not being, with the things on there, how that could maybe impact our district goals and things of that sort. So,
Thank you for that. For those who can't see, family engagement parent portal is one of the indicators. So it says percentage of Infinite Campus parent portal accounts, that's families, and it's not just everybody that's in your household. If you sign up for an account, you can see all the students in your household. So that's telling us the number of families that have actually signed up for a parent portal account. The goal is to be at 69%. Right now, we're at 50%. So that is a push that we're trying to do to make sure that families are aware of what's happening as far as their academic performance. So there isn't, they can see where attendance lies with, if they're not in school, they're probably missing work. If they're not understanding, we don't have to wait until the last minute to have that teacher and that home relationship to make sure that communication is there. So Ms. Williams, you do bring up a good point. Thank you. Any other comments about the KPI indicators? So I do know that Mr. Miles is going to speak more about this as the district begins to work with our KPI indicators and what that means for us as far as our strategic plan. So you will be hearing more about this as we continue on with the school year.
I have a question about restorative circle.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that something that that we could maybe do? Is it have to be done just as they are reset? I'm sorry, my dog. Or can it be something that, we can learn together? Because like if we know how to teach them those methods, or it's something collective throughout that may help with that, as opposed to, relying on if they're able to go to the reset or how that works there. I
Right.
just wonder how that could work.
I think that is possible. What we have to work on now is getting the people who've never had restorative practice training trained. So if we've been with PBSA for a while, many of us have already had that training, but we do have several staff members who have not had that particular training. So I know that's something that the leadership team has tried to look into to see if it's possible that someone comes to the school and does that training, or if push comes to shove, we have to send someone out. But that is, to your point, that is very important for us to, even before you even get to have to be at reset, if those things can be done within the classroom, that would even alleviate some of the things, some of the times where kids maybe are going to reset. So it really is a lot of a training issue, and we've been looking in to see cost-wise and time-wise how we can make that happen for our staff that have never had that restorative practice training.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That is still on the bucket list, so we're working on it. Next slide, please. So for PBSA, the mission and vision is all the same. We don't have a separate mission and vision per se, but I wanted to make sure that we looked at what APS is talking about and how that lines up with what we are doing at Slater and for PBSA in general. So the next slide is going over the strategic plan goals, and we've seen these before, but I want to make sure that we are bringing these up again in our Go Team meeting. So these are our goals that every time we have meetings for PLCs and collaborative planning, these are our goals for the year. And these were developed with our district office to make sure that we're all on the same page. So I'll give everybody a second just to look at these goals, and then we'll talk about how that aligns to what we are doing with our continuous improvement goals. Also, keep in mind, kindergarten through second grade, their goals are aligned to MAP because they do not participate in the Georgia Milestones Assessment. Any questions about the strategic plan goals? Okay, next slide. And then the mission and vision. So again, the mission and the vision are developed at the district level. So we don't necessarily change our mission and vision at PBSA based on the school. Our goals are make sure that we are aligned in our goals and our action steps with the vision and mission. So this here you have our vision and mission that was developed in conjunction with district leadership, school leadership, as well as teacher and instructional support staff input. All right, so the next thing I want to do, Ms. Williams, now we'll need to share the screen. So if you could give me the opportunity to share the screen.
Okay, give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what I want to share with the team now is our continuous improvement plan. This was developed and shared with Atlanta Public Schools, so you get to see what our goals and action steps are and how they're going to be aligned. All right, can everyone see this? If not, I can move it to another screen.
I can see it.
Okay.
I can too.
All right, so goal number 1 for for Slater is, again, by the end of 25-26 school year, Slater will increase this percentage of students in grades 3 through 5 scoring developing and above from 41.9% to 52%, and those scoring at proficient and above from 16.2 to 24% on the spring 2026 end of grade in ELA. And we're going to make sure that their students are able to fully respond to a writing prompt to produce a final draft given a specific time limit. So when we're looking at those goals, on the right first column are the action steps that we plan to take to make sure that we meet those goals. Daily writing time, teach students to use the writing process, teach students to become fluent with handwriting, spelling, sentence construction. And this particular goal is really not just a 3 to 5 goal, it's also a K-5 goal. Because that handwriting and making sure that students are able to fluently write does not start in 3rd grade. So a lot of these goals, it is K-5, even though it's going to be measured at the Georgia milestone assessment level for those grade levels. Also leveraging GMAS rubrics and right score lessons, which are K-5, to ensure that students in the grades 3 through 5 are producing the writing product. So we also have the subgroup information of how we're going to make sure we're using those action steps with our subgroup, which is students with disabilities, to meet those goals. We have a family engagement portion about meeting those goals, and we're talking about sharing the action step is sharing the writing strategies with families during Making Take curriculum nights. For those that don't know, we have one coming up, and that's why we are focusing on literacy, because we want to make sure that we are getting the family engagement portion. We're making sure that we're getting that taken care of as we are trying to meet this particular goal. Our second goal is with math. So by the end of 25-26 school year, Slater will increase the percentage of students scoring developing and above from 55.1 to 60%, and those scoring proficient and above from 17.9 to 22% in the spring 2026 end of grade math, by ensuring that students are able to self-select an appropriate concrete representational or abstract strategy. We really want to make sure that students have a very, very clear understanding of, one, not only how to solve problems, but when they are solving problems, they can then identify what is the best strategy to use to solve those problems. So here are the action steps that we are going to be working with when we're talking about that CRA model of instruction. Refine teachers' understanding of CRA, teach students how to use visual representations of math to solve problems, exposing students to multiple problem-solving strategies. And then we have our action step for our subgroup, as well as family engagement. Our first parent curriculum night is focusing on literacy. Our second one will be focusing on math. And goal number 3, by the end of the 25-26 school year, the PK-5 students will include the percentage of students who are not considered chronically absent. So that third goal is really focusing on that attendance, and that's where a lot of our family engagement activities will come into play. We want to increase that number from 53.4% to 60% by strategically supporting chronically absent families with attendance reminders and incentives. Here are some of the action steps that we would like in this plan. Identify students who attend school for less than 90% of their enrolled days. Communicate the connections between the attendance to student outcomes. Increase outreach efforts for families of students who are chronically absent. Provide monthly and quarterly incentives. We have an action step for our subgroup, which will be leveraged through their case managers, and with family engagement, the communication piece. We have been increasing our communication over our various platforms. So it might be through our Infinite Campus Messenger, Class Dojo, phone calls, having a curriculum nights. One thing that one piece of feedback that we are continuously getting from our families is that our communication has definitely stepped up this year. And we want to make sure that that is continuing to be the case. So it's never said that we weren't attempting to make sure that we're getting that information out there. Another thing that we're going to be doing with the increase in communication, all of APS is going through a change with their website. So our website is getting into an overhaul right now. We have a launch date of next Friday, November 21st for the new website. So we really want to make that engaging for our families so that that is the place that they go to for any updated information about things that are happening with the school, not just through those messaging platforms that I mentioned before. This is our continuous improvement plan that we have, the version that was sent to Atlanta Public Schools with the action steps. So I want to make sure that I provide an opportunity for the team to provide any feedback at this time regarding those action steps. And what we're going to do now is we're going to actually, based on these action steps, if we talk about extending this to 2030, what are some other things that we could possibly, action steps we could possibly try to implement to extend this, not just as a goal for the end of 25-26, but also for what this would look like for when we reach the goal, another goal in 2030. So Ms. Williams, I'm going to stop sharing, and then we're going to go back to our stop sharing. We're going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation, and we're going to go to that last slide. I believe it's on page 24 of the slides. Yep, that's the one. Now it's time for the team that if we want to extend this, if the goal is to extend this and grow this to 2030, what possibly could be some additional goals that we could add to this strategic plan? It could be in any of the areas. It could be in literacy. It could be in the area of math, or the area that we're doing a lot of work with this year, which is our family engagement. So I'm going to open it up to the floor to get some feedback, and I will be typing this feedback into our PowerPoint presentation.
I wasn't sure. I was looking at, and so just to the team, you guys can tell me what you think, but I was looking at the amount of students in kindergarten that for the G kids, and the amount of students, I think it was like 50 to, they want us to move to 70%. But then I was also then looking at the kids in third grade that were scoring, and it just seemed like the number, there's a definite decrease. And so I'm wondering and I'm not necessarily thinking that we have to add another one. I don't know what you guys thinking, but I'm like, from kindergarten to third grade, like what is there? I know they only have math, but I'm wondering what happens. So it's kind of an observation that I was going to say earlier, but I was just wondering what happens that there's such a huge drop from the kids that are leaving kindergarten scoring proficient, or I don't remember exactly how G Kids was worded, but then going down to third grade, if everybody remembers what I was talking about. I don't know if you guys remember that. Does anybody recall what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. And I'll add this point. Kindergarten is not mandatory in Georgia. So I think another piece of good data would be, as we're looking at first, second, and third grade, how many of those students did not attend kindergarten? That may also be an indicator for us as to why the numbers are decreasing. Kindergarten, you're going to get a lot of those foundational skills. When you get to first grade, the increase in the amount of foundational skills that work that you're getting is a lot between first and second grade. But if you miss that kindergarten foundation, you're missing out on a lot. So I guess my question would be, to your point, how many of those students missed the entire year of kindergarten? and then went to first grade and had to have all of those skills, but they never got the foundation. Getting that piece of data would give us a huge amount of information about why there may have been a dip, because kindergarten, unfortunately, is not mandatory in the state of Georgia. So we do have students who have never been to kindergarten, but come to first grade as the first time they've been in school.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I have a question about the students that are tracked once they are in first grade, because I know I'm just thinking about even from pre-K to kindergarten, we don't usually have the same number of students. It's so vastly different from year to year. And so when we do this data, it's just on whoever is in that grade, because I know, you would think it would be a different, or maybe some data point to find out the kids who were like in Slater the whole time, or however that is, because we have a lot of transiency too. Like, I know it probably doesn't matter, but it is a point to say, that they've had instruction based on the things that we're working on toward our goals consistently. I don't know if it's differentiated or not, or it's just like a lump sum.
We do our own internal data points to kind of see what that looks like. I know that our data person, Mr. Zimmerman, has done some work to kind of see based on, especially with that pre-K to K, we've been able to see the number of students who were in our pre-K program and then continued on to our kindergarten program, what their academic performance tends to look like. Starting to look at that as they continue on to first grade. So we do have internal measures, but those measures are not necessarily picked up when we get into this data, like these KPI from APS. So they're looking at who's sitting in front of you at the moment.
Got
But
it.
like to the point we were just talking about, we can do our own internal data to give more information about what that looks like, but then that also could lead to information about our family engagement. That is also something that we would be able to tell our families about, the importance of entering into an early learning program and how that work gives a strong foundation for first, second, third grade, and so on. So it's really like the beginning parts of the story.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Also, I had two other things I was going to ask. I wondered if, I don't know, I come from a different district that didn't have attendance as an issue this strong. And so I'm wondering, were there some things that are working in APS? I know that is one of their goals. Are there things that they are doing that we maybe can adopt to help attendance? And the second part of my question was about the culture. I think we had a 2 and the goal was a 5. And I was wondering, where was that rating coming from? Was it just from staff or was it from everybody?
I believe the culture survey is a survey that comes out. It goes out to families. It goes out to staff. So I think it's a combination of that. And those are sent out to individual email addresses. So it's not like we'll get the survey and say, okay, you pass it out. I do know that some of those surveys are sent directly to the families if they have an email address listed within Infinite Campus, and they'll send that out. So that's part of those surveys. There was a time where we were doing, we would have the students sit down and do the student survey. I am not sure that we're still doing that, but I do know those surveys go out to families and they go out to staff. And what was that first part of your question, Ms. Lovelace?
It was about attendance. I was just wondering,
yeah.
did APS have any attendance things that were working for them?
That would be something that we would have to investigate by the school, based on, how looking for similar population of students and some things that work for them, seeing if they can work for us, and also just seeing what is the root cause. Like, why is it that we have students and families who, certain families, because we have some kids who come every day, rain, sleet, or snow. And then we have some students and families where that attendance tends to be a problem. Trying to just figure out what is the root cause of that and what are the things that we can do to help support our families if there is a issue where they're not able to get to school. That it's a work in progress, and I think that's just time that causes us more of a team to really continue with trying to figure out what's the best way, because there is not one particular answer. You know, we've done a lot of different things, and we have pockets of time where we have attendance that just it's really good, and then we have those pockets of time where it's just not the greatest. So it really is just figuring out where's the sweet spot, for lack of a better term, that's going to help us ensure that our families are coming to school.
I have a question about the attendance with the bus. I remember I had a student who was having we only have so many buses and they have to be within so much distance. But I remember Ms. Young was gonna try to talk to Mr. Flagg about if it was possible. Is there anything we can do, like to maybe get an extra bus to bring kids in a certain area, or is that a big process? Or I was just thinking that we had more transportation mode, like one or the bus. I forgot the area that she was mentioning, but she said it could support having a bus. Because I know when kids have to walk, if they're over a mile, the bus doesn't come or something like that.
If it's within a mile, then the bus will not.
Yeah.
They have to get other transportation. That is definitely going to be a district transportation question.
Okay.
I'm not sure of what the cost measures are regarding the buses and why we are working to number the buses that we have, but that's something that definitely could be brought up to Mr. Flagg as a question that could be answered, but I would not be able to answer that because that really is a transportation question.
Okay, thank you.
Before we move forward, I want to make sure if there was any more comments about the 2030 goal. And again, this is pure discussion. There'll be other times we'll be getting other feedback, but this is just the beginning of this particular part of the process. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next slide. And so again, just to talk about continuous planning, it will help us fully uncover our available options, to set some priorities, and define the methods how we want to achieve them. And again, it's not a one size fits all. It's not the only time we'll have this discussion. We will be continuing to discuss this as we continue on with the school year, and especially as we're getting closer to 2030. Were there any questions about the strategic plan or that continuous improvement plan before we move forward? All right.
I wanted to ask something. So what are we going to be doing so that we can increase the student population for kindergarten, and how can we improve parents staying from pre-K to kindergarten? Like, there's a lot of our children who leave our school, and I know a lot of them don't live in our area, but what can we do in order to get these parents to keep their children at Slater?
Well, one thing I know that's happening is with our with the family engagement team that's working with a district level, they're doing some things as far as trying to make sure that we get people to come in. We had that renovation in the pre-K and kindergarten wing as an attractive point that we want our families to choose Slater as their early learning for their children. I know that family engagement office has been working hard to try to get more families in the early learning. We've actually got more families. They just ended up being with upper grade, their upper grade students. But that is going to be some work that's going to be in conjunction with that family engagement team. They would be the ones to have a lot more, not a lot more, but have some information for us regarding how we get what types of steps we can do. I know in the spring we try to do a lot of work with showcasing what is happening in early learning so that those daycare centers, families who don't have their kids in a particular program right now would want to bring them in. Ms. Harrington does a lot of work with pre-K. The thing with pre-K though is that you don't have to be within our zone. So a lot of our families are not in our zone, and that's why they can't stay for kindergarten, because we're not their zone school. But the students that are within our zone, we strongly encourage them to continue on. And we've had some success there trying to increase those numbers. But that pre-K program is a program that if you can get them there, they would be allowed to come as long as we have a spot. So we're always working with that because we're a zone school. We only take the students in kindergarten through 5th grade that are zoned for our school. So I think that's a good discussion point as a school of how we get more families to want to send their kids for pre-K and stay for kindergarten. It's just a matter of finding some strategies that would be beneficial to us. But that family engagement team is also going to be a huge help because they're the ones that are going out into the community more than we are to spread the word about what is happening at Slater.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. So the next discussion item is, we know we made uniforms a choice for this year, but we are going to be moving forward making uniforms mandatory for the 26-27 school year. Some of the reasons being, we are increasing our efforts working with various partners and having various individuals that are providing support in the schools. The uniforms will help us make sure that we are identifying who the kids are. So we'll make it, with the uniforms, we'll know these students belong here. One thing that we did have at our previous school, we had a uniform closet so that if there was ever families that just really needed support and help with uniforms, we had a place where they can get that. That will also be an outreach to a lot of our partners because we can't fully fund that uniform closet ourselves, but getting donations for uniforms and things of that nature would help out with that uniform closet, and that was successful. As part of that, we want to make sure that our staff are modeling what that uniforms are okay. So we are proposing having a modeling Monday every Monday for our staff. So our staff will always be in uniform as well on Mondays. But this is a move that we are moving towards for the next school year, just to make sure that we are continuing to make sure that we are providing a safe learning environment. Wanted to get some feedback on that before we moved on.
Would it be a uniform as in like what the children are wearing, or will we have like our own set uniform?
It will probably be the same color scheme. So if we're doing when our old school, we had burgundy tops, plaid bottoms. That one day out the week, you wore that burgundy top and the plaid bottom or dark pants. But it'll be something in effect that you can tell that the staff is in a uniform as well as the students.
I like the idea. I was hoping that we would have done that this year, make it mandatory. So you're saying for what you were just talking about with the plaid, and this is the uniforms would be for every day, right? Not just for
Yes.
Okay.
The
But the
kids every
plaid
day.
is okay. Oh, you're saying that there would be like a plaid situation like for Monday. So whatever for Monday, it would be all the staff that would have to have the same thing, and everybody have to wear that Monday. Even the kids, everybody wears the same thing on Monday. Is that what you were saying? Or no?
For the staff with a modeling Monday, it might be, and I'm just throwing this out there, it's not set in stone.
Okay.
If the colors are blue and orange, it might be khaki pants, blue shirt.
Okay.
I can't say whether or not that shirt will be provided or not. It just might be you need to wear your Slater shirt or you need to wear this blue shirt with khaki pants. for the students, Monday through Friday, they would have the mandatory uniform. If it's khaki and blue, khaki and orange, khaki and white, whatever that
Okay.
mandatory is, that's what they will be wearing.
Okay. Okay.
Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Ms. Williams, do you need me to share the screen? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so we can.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my computer right now.
That's
So,
fine.
yeah.
All right. One of the other things I want to make sure that we mention, we are receiving the Literacy Leader Award for our 3rd and 5th grade students. This award is given to us based off of our performance on the spring 2025 Georgia Milestones Assessment. This is the 2nd time that Slater has received this award. The last time we got it was in 2023, I believe, for our 3rd grade reading score. So I wanted to make sure that I mention this, as well as talk about what you have to do to make sure you get this particular literacy award. So for 3rd grade, for the award that we got, it says schools with fewer than 50% of students in the identified grade or course reading at or above grade level for the 24-25 needed a 15-point or higher increase. So we got that award for getting 15 points or higher. We also got it for 3rd grade for the growth. So this is a huge accomplishment for Slater, again, to get this twice. Last time we only got it for 3rd grade. This time we got it for 5th grade. So we will be getting another banner. We have one, we're going to get another one, and we're going to hang it high. And we just want to, congratulate all who were involved with helping us to achieve this. This is a huge success for the Slater team. We still need to find two community member position seats for the Go team. Mr. Miles is still in the process of trying to find potential members for those seats, as well as making sure that we are filling that last position for secretary. So our next meeting will be on December 9th, and hopefully we will have names that can be submitted and welcome to the team for that particular position and for those roles. We all have heard about the comprehensive long-range facilities plan, and there were 2 task force meetings, and the presentations are linked in this particular document. There is an upcoming public meeting on December 3rd from 5:30 to 6 p.m. I believe that is at CLL. Slater is a part of that plan. Definitely want to make sure that families that are affected, staff that are affected, that you go and you hear about what the proposed facilities plan is going to discuss, and if there are any changes. It has not been put up for a vote, but I know it's going to be put up for a vote soon. So just making sure that you are fully aware of what has been proposed. Before we end the meeting, are there any questions about anything that was presented today? All right, Ms. Williams, that is the end of my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nunn. All right, we're going to move to the next thing on our agenda item, which there's no public comment for this meeting.
No, there was no public comment.
All right, so I'll move to adjourn this meeting. Someone want to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I second the motion.
All right, have a wonderful evening. We'll see you again in December.
Thanks. Bye-bye.